show. Here with me, Joy Nwama on Kerr Fatou. I'll be, in the next 90 minutes, I'll be taking you through what's trending, the newspaper review, and the rest. But with me, I'm not alone in the studio. I'm very excited to introduce to you my very own co-host, Nima Saka Kamara. You're welcome on the Brunch.
Thank you very much, Joy.
On my immediate right, I have a renowned member of the house who is Mr. Lamin Cham from the Standard newspaper. Welcome to the Brunch.
Thank you very much.
And as I always say, we have a bona fide member of the house who is no other than Mustafa Dabo. You're welcome to the Brunch show.
Glad to be on the show.
So I'm taking you straight to what's trending today. I'm taking you straight to what's trending, and today what we have is the review of newspaper headlines. But before that, let's stroll on social media to check what stories and events that have been trended during this week. We'll start in our own backyard, which is the Gambia. The state broadcaster GRTS saga has been at the top of the stories making the rounds on the social media, especially Facebook. As you might have heard, GRTS crew Luis Mendy and Momodu Sise were allegedly attacked by the supporters of the former ruling APRC party as they set out to cover the burial of Aja Asombi Bojang, the mother of the exiled ex-president Yahya Jammeh. The crew's camera was reportedly confiscated by the attackers, though we later learned that the camera was recovered by the GRTS. So this story has sparked a lot of reaction during the week, especially on our very own social media, which is Facebook.
That's true.
But we'll go through some of them. However, want to make it clear that the views and opinion expressed on the Brunch show and Kerr Fatou is nothing, or it's nothing linked to none of our broadcasting house. But here are some of the views that we got on social media. First, I want to start by one Pa Mane. He said, honestly speaking, I personally know. Sorry about that. I would like to say I'm very sorry for that slight break, but then I will take you straight to some of the views of the people on social media, saying Imam Fati. We have Imam Fati here. I believe some of the stuff that we were supposed to get.
Yeah, while you're looking at that, I just wanted to throw a few words into what has been trending with regards to the GRTS team being attacked at Kanilai. There are two versions of the stories that are coming up. There are people who say that the disease has to be respected, and GRTS shouldn't have been there in the first place. And there are people who are saying GRTS as a state media had every right to be there, because whatever has to do, the person was a public figure, and as a result of that, the state media should have been there to cover the story, especially this is important for our reconciliation process. So it was seen as a sign of gesture, a good gesture on the part of the present government to have allowed the disease to be here in the first place. So it's important for GRTS to be there to show to the people how the event went. But also there are people saying that the disease should have been respected. And we have to also understand there is a lot of hostility around that area. So it's important that these things are coming up so that we can discuss around it and see where our head is, we are heading.
Okay, interesting. You know, some of the views that we saw on social media, especially Facebook, you had a lot of people saying that they're laughing, that, you know, some of them say the flamboy, you know, as if like they have had beefs with GRTS people. Do you really think that was a wise statement to make by the public?
Yeah, it goes to show the divide that exists as far as our opinions are concerned. So there are still the APRC supporters who are very angry about President Jammeh not being allowed to stay here, to have been exiled in the first place. So there were also calls by such people to allow the president to come and witness the burial of his mother. So it's understandable from that point of view to see how angry some supporters are going to be against GRTS's presence. But again, it does not dissuade this other notion that we deserve a right to see what happens there, considering that he was a public.
Mr. Lanicham, do you have anything?
Yes. First of course, it must be understood that any act of violence against the media, in any shape or form, should be condemned. I agree that the death is normally given, the dead rather is normally given some sort of privacy, especially, of course, we're coming from a country like the Gambia where we have our cultures and this thing. But I think coverage in this case is definitely be allowed up to a point. For example, the tributes and eulogies that have been paid to the old woman and the fact that people have turned up there. I think, for me, the state that should not be filmed, perhaps that have to do with, things like the actual burying or stuff like that. But I think coverage, that one is necessary. Now, I was not in Fonya, and like she said, that there have been different stories. In fact, I even had a version that says that actually the GRTS people wanted to force themselves into areas that the families and relatives of the old woman didn't want them to cover, and that's where that brought the confusion. Some said it started even at the airport. The people who are, well, because at some point even the APRC had disowned these people. It's only when their apology later came that, well, there was some sort of association with the people who did this act. The first comment we had from the deputy spokesman was that these people are not the genuine APRC security. They are people from Fonyi who volunteered to keep the gates at Bunyinga the other day. But what we should say is, in any form of shape, an attack on the press should be condemned. And I am pleased that the APRC leadership recognize that this is one act they cannot be proud of, coming from their supporters or whoever is associated with their supporters. But like I said, we should really condemn any acts of violence against the media.
Let me quickly take you through some of the comments that we had. One said, the way I am laughing at JRTS now, LMAO serves them well. So in the subsequent comments, you have one that says, as if they don't have better things to do. Bunch of hypocrites, the flen moy. And one Juka liar Dabo say passe moy, nyaka luñ def rek. You know what I meant. So does it mean, Mustafa Dabo, let me bring you into this. When someone says the flen moy, and then someone reacts by saying passe moy, nyaka luñ def rek, do you think that the public feels that the Gambia radio and television staffers do not actually perform their roles as seasoned journalists?
Or should not have been there?
Well,
but the thing is, I think the question I would ask is, because there were other people who were there, why were they not attacked? Why was attack directed at GRTS alone? I think this is the most significant question. There were, in fact, the police investigators are looking at the footages of some other people who were there, and this is particularly a television. That means other people were allowed to film. GRTS was not allowed to film because it's a state institution. So this is, you can look at it from that perspective too.
Yes,
I've
also had
it
that
was even being
viewpoint.
Facebook Live.
Yes,
why
had
would
that view? I
yeah,
had that
so
viewpoint too. Of course, it all has to do, as Nimasita said, the divides. Now what happened now? GRTS in those areas. The table has turned full circle.
Yeah.
GRTS would have been allowed to go any state function on the Jammeh, whether it is whatever happened. But I can see that people who hold the view, that's kind of view, who were really felt that they are more aggrieved, in this situation. They felt that GRTS was coming to cover and show, what they didn't like to come.
Yeah, if I may throw in a...
And that's what happened. That's why they were targeted for this animosity. But whether or not it is GRTS, it could have been anybody else. And I think I even had a query from other segments of the media that all of them were some sort of restricted at the airport from accessing, for example, the plane and some other aspects of the burial rites. What I'm saying is, covering definitely is good, is necessary, and nobody can say it shouldn't be covered. It is a funeral of a very important person, the mother of a president, all right. But what I definitely would have argued with any family member, I would agree with any family member, was coverage should stop at certain bits of the actual rights should not be shown. I think that I will agree with that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I just wanted to throw in a few things there. I think the dynamics that we are missing here is the notion of us and them. GRTS has now been viewed as an ally of the government that they do not approve of. So it makes sense to have other media houses being present and they're allowed to do their job, and GRTS is not allowed to do so because of that notion. And also I was recently in Fonyi, and it's so visible, the hostility against the media and against the government based on the fact that even we as researchers were not able to do our job because they thought we were journalists, and they said, this is what they do, you come here, you take information from us, and then you go and distort it outside. So there are these dynamics also to look at.
Thank you very much, Nima. One of the most trending news in the Gambia as well is the appointment of the TRR, that's the Truth and Reconciliation Committee Director of Research, Commission, sorry, which is the Director of Research and Investigation, Alaji Barrow.
Yeah,
You know, there has been a clarion call saying that it is not fair that he was being made the he was being put as one of the members of the committee, having had issues with the previous government. I'm also aware that he was part of the, is it December 30th attack?
30th attack, yeah.
What do you guys make of that? Don't you think it's really a very funny moment? Don't you think people will feel that because of the beef, let me use that terminology, the problems that he had had with the previous government or the previous president, he might be, let's say, sentimental in the approaches or whatever information that he gets as the research and information, is it the Director of Research and Investigation? Member.
Well, yes, indeed, this particular appointment has drawn a lot of debate. You may say controversy. But if you look at it, even in the first place, even the first person to be appointed in the TRRC, that is Dr. Baba Gale Jallo, it's a similar reaction, even though you might say this one seems to draw more attention simply because of the prominent role Al-Haji Barrow played in the attempted coup of 30th December 2014. However, I see it in a different light because, you see, I think the commissioners of the commission, the commissioners, in this case, the commissioners are the people whose appointment process has been done now. Some are nominated from the regions, etc., etc. They have not been fully up. The process is not yet over, and there will be a chairman. I believe the power and decision-making rest solely more on the shoulders of the commissioners than the staff that will serve them. Now, this man is Director of Research and Investigations. Fantastic. Ordinarily, and on the surface, when you hear his name, you will say, oh, this man already has problems with the Jammeh administration. He probably would not be fair in his investigations. I don't know what he's going to do. He's going to interview the victims, take their claims, find out what they said, their problems are. Fantastic. I think it should not be seen. It should not be totally seen that since this man is definitely a prominent member of, Jammeh, or rather had been at odds with Jammeh, he wouldn't be fair. He should not be expected not to be fair. I don't think that's categorically you cannot condemn him.
Now
you have to look at the bigger picture. See, whether the task that he's been assigned to, he is the right person who can fulfill this thing. That is by researching and reporting to the commission.
Now let me ask you this question. You made valid points such as saying that because he has the adequate skill set to carry out the research and investigation
and the maturity and ability to be able to be free and fair. And I think his role, being an investigator, not actually the commissioner, because he's going to report to the commissioners, and eventually it will be the commissioners who will decide. Fine, you may expect because of his problems with the Jammeh regime, he may not be completely, impartial. But I don't see, what is he going to do?
My question to you, Mr. Lamin Cham, is, don't you think that he may have an influence to the commissioners, having been a member of the House? Because remember, he is the research and.
Can I come in there?
I mean, it's very. Go ahead.
He's not. See, Mr. Barrow is not going to be a commissioner.
No, I'm not saying. Sorry, let me rectify myself. I'm not saying that he's going to be a commissioner. But then, can't he influence them because he is a member of the House?
That's what I'm coming to. Of course, undoubtedly, there is going to be some degree of influence, if you look at it, because he's going to be, the commissioners are going to make a decision on what Barrow collects as evidence. But let's also not forget, let's look at December 30th. What happened at December 30th? It was an attack on State House. Few people were killed, few people were arrested. What happened is that that event was already investigated. We are looking at Barrow's connection to Jammeh and the problem he might have with Jammeh. That event has already been investigated. The people who have been killed and buried elsewhere have already been exhumed. They have been tested and they're identified. So in other words, Barrow's own issue has been dealt with, and that evidence will be before the commission.
But remember, Barrow this is the public you're dealing with.
Barrow will not be the one to investigate it. I'm coming. That's one thing. And if you look at another thing is that Barrow was in the United States. Based on the information I've got, no member of Barrow's family, as in some other people's case, had any relations whatsoever with Jammeh's atrocities in the past. Barrow solely got up because of his passion for justice and came to fight in the Gambia. Now, passion in investigation is strength. Emotion in investigation is strength. This is some guy, in my opinion, I may differ with a lot of people on this, but this is a guy whose passion for investigation has made him pick up a gun. A retired captain in the U.S. Army, left the United States, come to the Gambia to fight. So obviously he has so much desire for justice in that regard. And when you definitely want to look at an investigator, you want to look at somebody who cares, somebody who has passion to ensure that the past crimes are investigated and they are rectified. I think Baba Galle did his job well by identifying somebody who has so much passion to correct the past. And this is a guy I've interacted with in the past, and I can tell you that he's a very principled young man. I've known him to be working with an institution where he feels what he's going to be doing is not in accordance with his principles, and he left. So
I'm going to intervene here, and my point of departure would be, where is this controversy stemming from? Which is that they were involved in an activity that is deemed undemocratic,
yes,
or unconstitutional, taking arms against a democratically elected government. But the way I see it is their activity was an act of activism against a despot that all Gambians have been involved in at one level or another. So the way we can look at it is by comparing whose activism is more extreme as regards to the others.
Right.
But all of the members of the commissioners, if you look at it at one point, at one level or another, have all been activists against Jammeh. Maybe not as extreme as Barrow's activism has been. So that goes to show that none of them will be free from judgment, personal judgment. None of them will be 100% independent, right?
Will be deemed to be.
Deemed
to be
independent.
Yes. They should
But
definitely
also,
be independent.
Yeah.
But of course, because of their connection and their history,
Yeah.
they will be deemed to be partial in their
But some of these things also comes to personal
But that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I said they must not be condemned, outright on the surface that these people will not be fair. That would be unfair to them.
So my point is, as far as whether what they have done is constitutional or not has been proven to us that this present government does not see it as undemocratic, or perhaps the constitution has been interpreted differently to favor a position that suggests that perhaps what they have done was in fact lawful or rightful, right?
Thank you very much, guys. The topic, of course, if we have to continue, will be quite prolonging. But then we'll just take you to another trending topic, that is one foreign national actually posted something on Facebook, a video on Facebook, saying that the Edward Small Teaching Hospital do need a lot of blood bags. Edward Francis Small Hospital is one of the major public hospitals that we have in the Republic of the Gambia. And then having a foreign national actually posting such on Facebook, it's quite disheartening. Haven't heard this. What do you make of it?
It's disappointing. I don't think this is it's a call for debate, actually. Everybody should agree that being the only referral hospital in the country, all efforts should be on that to make sure that it is well equipped, not just in terms of personnel, but also in terms of equipment. So if there is lapses there, it should be a call for concern for everyone. and
Interesting.
the government especially.
Let me just share a little thing. I actually saw a picture. I think I was trying to show you that earlier on, where you have the strings and some how do you call it? It's like a rope. It's ropey. I don't know the actual word for that. Where they stored the blood in the fridge, in a little fridge, which I found. I don't know whether it's hygienic. Is it even medically proven for you to allowed? I mean, for you to be allowed to put such in the fridge.
I think the entire medical facilities in this country are having a problem. I mean, it's not just Edward Francis Hospital. I mean, we've had this many times before. Even when people need medication, they go to the pharmacy to buy it. Of course, that is why when the government came, they promised to change that. But were they able to do that? No, they couldn't.
I don't understand. I don't know whether the pictures on the Facebook was trying to portray the lack of hygiene in
No,
the
no,
hospital,
no,
or
the
it's
blood
trying to
bag.
lack of blood.
The blood bag.
But do we know how blood is being
The
stored
handling
in the
of
first
blood
place?
bags? Or
Yeah, no, the handling of the blood bag, it's not the issue.
Yeah.
It's the blood bags itself. Like the blood bag where they put blood to store it.
Yeah.
That's what is lacking. That's what they don't have at the hospital.
Yeah.
They said
But
they've
They've
imported
purchased
some
some
from Senegal.
from Senegal.
Oh.
But the thing is, why would it be lacking in the first place?
So the shortage of blood
bags
is the issue.
Yeah, but
Is
this
the
is
issue.
not
But that's
something
not just the
new,
issue.
though.
If
This-
you can lack paracetamol at a hospital, if you can lack gloves at a hospital,
Well,
maybe Faral Hospital,
yeah.
then you have a problem.
I agree, it's a reflection of the general situation of the troubles that the health sector is facing. That is general lack of basic things, which is of course, I'm sure have been highlighted many times.
Many times, yeah.
I think also this is what we are seeing as manifestation of the situation at our medical facility centers. But this is not something new. This has been a rhetoric, especially during the doctors on strike period, where they complain about the lack of facilities, the lack of trainings, and the proper handling of drugs, and so on and so forth. So this is just a manifestation of, and a vindication of everything they have been saying. So I think now that it is in the public eye and we can all witness to the facilities being absent at especially at the major hospital, it's a cause for concern.
A few months ago, we did a story. I mean, on Kerr about the challenges that the hemodialysis unit of AFTH, the people with kidney problem go to. That problem has issue of funding. You have people who should go for their hemodialysis, like I think through 3 times in a week, but they couldn't go because that place does not have medicine. I mean, that causes risk. Sometimes some people with kidney problems will die. So the health system has some chronic problems, and it's an emergency, national emergency.
And we can also connect this to something else that have been trending on social media that I have seen with the First Lady visiting a children's hospital in Nigeria and donating stuff to them, including medical stuff. And there were people calling on social media, why can't you have a hospital right beside you, where these facilities may be missing? Why couldn't you have done? It's a politics, though. It's about putting yourself in a good position with the Nigerian.
Well, let me say that the First Lady has visited the EFTH more times than her husband. Barrow went to EFTH once. The First Lady went there and she even washed the toilet with them. So the First Lady actually did better than Barrow.
Like, if you ask me, I would say, perhaps there have been a relationship being built between the First Lady of Nigeria and the First Lady of the Gambia. And that being said, both First Ladies realize the passion that they have to donate to those that are needy in the hospital. And it could have been a collaboration. It might not necessarily be that it was from the Gambia government's pocket. You understand what I mean? It could have also been a relationship between both the Nigerian First Lady and
I understand
the
that,
Gambian
and I'm not
First
even
Lady.
suggesting that this is the First Lady's responsibility. She doesn't have a responsibility to equip the hospital. My point, though, is as is everybody else's point who point this out on social media.
Of course.
Is if you care enough, why not start?
Of
at
course.
home? Yeah.
Thank you very much. It has been a really interesting session of what's trending in our social media. Straight up to Mr. Lamin Cham, what do you have for us for the newspaper review?
Well, yes, Well, the things that we are trending on social media, we are also trending in the mainstream media. So we will jump the ones that we've already treated from the social media. Now, first that comes to my mind in the newspaper, of course. There's been, a research conducted by a United States research body, which gave Barrow 72% of approval between him and the Gambian people in terms of what his government is doing or has done or has planned or has promised. And according to this research, 72% of us are listening and we believe President Barrow and his government's policies. When this came, it was really very interesting and attracted a lot of debates. Like as you can see, and everything Gambian now also attracts controversies,
That's
Of course.
healthy,
etc.
That's healthy, yeah.
Yes, I have had views. Previously, of course, we had another researcher who said President Jammeh is more talked about than President Barrow. The research, of course, did not go to further on what aspects, because, of course, it was like a David and Goliath situation. Jammeh was here, tall and huge, larger than life, and full of things that you can call controversial. And here was this man who quite modest, quite moderate in his speech or activity. So naturally, what's reported about this man cannot be compared with what's reported about this man, even though you now hold the most important position in the government. So I want to crack your brains as to what do you make of this research? Do you think it's a true reflection of the situation on the ground here? They said they've spoken to 1,000 adults, and the majority of them said yes, they believe in the president.
And the age limit between 15
and the age
upwards.
limit too between the third. So,
If I may first set the context, I think this is a problem for Barrow, not something to be
it's not
proud of.
something that
It's
is-
a problem
Yeah.
because if you look at the report itself, if you read the whole report itself, it tells you that the report was done in between 14 December to 26. That's last year. That's 8 months ago.
8 months ago.
But also the report is more about the hope that people have that Barrow will change their lives.
Yes.
Not that the hope that they have that he not
believe.
that he has changed their lives,
Yes.
but the hope. So hope could actually be a dangerous thing because it may not be fulfilled, and when it's not fulfilled, it's a problem.
Do
So-
you
so-
think also a lot have changed from the time of this survey and now? 8 months ago, that was when they made their conclusions. Do you believe from then on now, Barrow and those who believe him think do you think he's still believable?
Was it 8 months ago, or was it just
8
past
months
It's
ago.
8 months ago.
No,
The research, actual research was done 8 months ago.
Actually,
It was done
concluded
between
8 months ago.
Yeah, 14 to 26
Do you
December.
think the people who believe, if this research has been done now, the people who believe Barrow 8 months ago still believe him?
A lot could have changed. I mean, if you look
Politics.
if you ask me, because
For example, he had changed the government, aiming to have more efficient delivery of services, perhaps.
yeah, the
I
national.
would say, for example, I don't.
And the national development plan has now been ditched. He's got over €1 billion or whatever in promises. So I think the people who believe him
from
will
popular point of
believe
view,
him even more
I-
now.
Yeah, I still believe that Barrow's popularity may be around that percentage, especially when you go further away from this area, and that.
I think more people live here than wherever you're talking about.
That's true, but I
But
don't.
link his popularity to UDP's popularity, I think he will win here. They've won here, actually.
But we have to understand that not everybody was interviewed, so we don't.
Yeah,
But they
not
said they have
against-
95% accuracy rate.
But not
The
everybody's
confidence level, I
But
should
not
say.
everybody's
Confidence
interviewed in any research.
That's what I'm saying. So you saying there are more.
You
people
go
here is
randomly.
What I'm trying to.
Yeah.
There may be more people here, but there may be that the number of people who are being interviewed here is the same number elsewhere. So I believe in the Gallup research because I have experience with Gallup, so I know that it must be accurate. It is, but also we have to, 8 months ago was still part of Barrow's honeymoon period, right? So if you compare the life under Jammeh to life under Barrow, obviously people are going to still be more confident in Barrow than they would be. But also that comes...
There will be that ease. But,
Yeah.
but also let's look at what the concerns that people had at the time and whether Barrow addressed that 8 months ago. There is a portion of the research where it says that 62% said there had been times in the past when they could not afford food. 62% of people they interviewed said there were times in the past that they could not afford food.
In the past,
In the past, like as in
pre-Barrow.
yes, they could not afford food.
Before
now,
Barrow.
we have to suppose they are banking on Barrow to provide food.
Food for them.
And also 54% said there are times in the past when they could not afford shelter. Those people are also banking on Barrow to afford shelter.
Yes.
Now, the question is, 8 months on, was Barrow able to, is it possible that Barrow provided shelter and food to those people?
Well,
That's one aspect. And another aspect is that a part of the report said that just 10% of Gambians rate their lives positively enough to be considered thriving, more than one, to be considered thriving as at the time of the research.
Yes.
Just 10%
Yeah.
considered their life to be thriving at the time of the research. And also more than one in four, 23%, 28% rate their lives poorly enough to be considered suffering. 28% believe they were suffering. So if you look at it, the question is, in 8 months, what has Barrow done to make sure that the hope of these people is sustained?
Well, I want to
I think that's why I said it's dangerous as well, because
No, you coming from the point of view that these these positive comments about Barrow, instead, because in fact the report said it, that this does not mean that he should sit on his laurels. I think that's what even added in the
but we are dealing with high hopes that
Yes.
by Barrow's pace, in my opinion,
But now-
are possible to achieve.
Yes, but I don't think those who believe, you see, the people who believe in him are not expecting immediate and automatic solutions to this one. They are saying that they believe that he is going to, make their living conditions better.
Yeah.
I don't think that they expect this to happen within these last 8 months. No. They're looking at a greater and long-term plans that he put in place, and he advocated that if those things work, and they believe he's committed to those, then their livelihood will improve. So this 8 months cannot be seen to be a barometer to actually gauge whether he has actually given anything in terms of realization for those people's belief. It's far too
I think we
it's far
can
too-
leave
far too
this
soon for that.
here on the basis that when this was done, it was in his honeymoon period. So there are high hopes, like you said. So the ratings could be against the hopes that the people have.
Yeah, but even-
so let's come back in the
even that
next,
Edward-
And
Next-
hopes are dangerous.
2 years.
But
maybe.
yes, I know that. Even the
And
report,
see where we
even
are.
the report made a caution that this does not. People told the researchers that this in any way doesn't suggest that they should sit on their laurels.
Obviously.
Now I'm thinking that 8 months, both for improvements or expectations, too soon, to gauge as to whether people who believe him 8 months ago still believe him. It is too soon.
It's
to
too
decide.
soon. I believe so. Too. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lamin Cham. We have a few minutes to go, but before we go into the commercials, I would like you to talk about the GFF saga with the Ministry of Youth and Sports.
Well, I think as we speak now, that matter is in court. Well, one aspect of it, that is whether the injunction, or whether the election will be held next weekend, that is August the 18th, or not, will be determined on Monday. We suspect it to be determined. We don't know. The High Court will sit over it. Now, what is before the court is whether the court has a jurisdiction, or whether the filing of the process itself is in order or not. The judge will decide that, the court will decide that on Monday. If they think that the filing of the process is not in order, they will strike it out, which of course means that they may have to file it fresh again, or whatever will happen. But so far, August 18th is still the date set for the elections, but then of course there is an injunction in court against it that will be determined in future. But then, like you said, there have been a lot of back and forth over the issue. For example, the National Sports Council, who suspended the leadership of the GFF. We now hear from the National Select Committee on Sports, as well as the Attorney General's Chamber, saying that they did not specifically instructed the Sports Council to suspend the leadership of the GFF. They believe that for the National Sports Committee to say that they are basing this action on the recommendation of these two bodies is erroneous. Of course, the National Sports Council the National Select Committee on National Assembly admit that they told the Sports Council to act, to keep these findings, police findings on the matter in their record, and also to act. But they didn't specifically say suspend them. Now the National Sports Council chairman is saying, well, since you have recommended me to act, you didn't specify. I'm sorry if I actually, attributed my actions to your recommendation, which is false in this case. But I acted still in the interest of the nation. That's his argument.
Okay. But I have a question though.
Yeah.
Don't they have a mandate to act in the way that they do without being influenced by the National Assembly Select Committee?
That's right. If they had acted and said, well, we as the authority for regulating sports, having listened to all or having followed all this process, now have suspended these people and stopped there. Perhaps people would say, okay, it comes from them and they are using their act. But when you now say, this is recommended from the National Sports Select Committee, the impression you are giving that those are the people from who the action start, and they naturally disassociate themselves from that specific area. But they actually told the Sports Council, these findings from the police is for your records and act. So, but they didn't specify what action. So that's what they want to clarify. And the Attorney General's chambers too gave an opinion on the matter. But again, they too did not tell, they are now saying that they didn't tell the Sports Council, go and suspend these people. So to attribute that action to them is what they are running away from.
Okay.
So in other words, the Sports Council now, so if they think that the best course of action is to suspend these people, they should do it by themselves according to the powers that have been vested by their act, and stop saying that we.
But they don't have the mandate, Mr. Lamincham. Because it's not in their act.
The act, there's the act according to the Sports Council Act 2000. They have such a power to take such actions where they feel the officials of sports associations have conducted themselves in the manner that they deem to warrant this kind of sanctions. That is the Sports Council.
Okay.
But what I'm saying, the bigger picture now is that these two bodies, the National Sports, the Select Committee on Sports and the Attorney General's Chambers, are saying, we did not tell the Sports Council specifically do this and this. We only give them our opinion on what has transpired.
So it was based on opinion.
You don't understand.
No, the National Assembly Committee on Sports actually has presented a report to even the House before the recess. And
the Sports Council suspension letter said, this is according to the recommendation of the National Select Committee as well as Attorney General.
Okay.
So these two bodies had said, we only give you our opinion, but we didn't say go and do this, go and do this. So that's what they are disassociating themselves.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lamincham. That was quite insightful. We'll take a short commercial break, and still to come, we're on the Brunch Show.
Now that I have saved some money to build my dream home, I'm really confused about which estate company to approach. My friend had a bad experience with a particular estate agency after completing his payment and could not even get his title deed. This is serious.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Thank you.
My name is Oli. I'm from EJ Investments.
Understood.
Thank you.
You know, I must say you came at a very right time.
Really?
I was thinking about houses.
Right.
What can your company offer me?
EJ Investments can offer you a lot. We're unique in the market.
Okay.
We own our properties and we ensure that they're developed with modern technologies. They're affordable and they are strategic locations. We don't just sell pieces of land, but we create settlements.
What makes your company different from others?
We're different from all real estate companies in the Gambia because what we have to offer is affordability, safety, and security. We ensure that you get a legal contract from when you pay your deposit, and within 4 weeks of paying your final settlement, we make sure you receive your title deed.
4 weeks?
4 weeks.
That's interesting.
Yes. Now tell me, what real estate service you need?
It's absolutely EJ Investment and Real Estate Agency.
Welcome back to the Brunch. I can see some of Yamasaka. How's the weather, right?
Very nice.
Lamincham, I can see you're really taking that trip.
I'm still in my coffee. You haven't seen me eating banana.
No, I haven't actually, but then you have Having a nice coffee.
Yeah, I'm taking my coffee.
Welcome back to the Brunch Show. Here with us on the Kid Fatou. With me is Joy Nwama, and we're so excited to having all of you here. And before much ado, we have the entrepreneur of the week, who is a young stylist by the name Nima Sata. Sorry, Nima, you're not a young stylist. Why are you trying to be the young stylist right now?
Martida, I guess.
Okay, we have Matida, who is a young Gambian stylist. Is she from Bikama?
Yeah, that's what we were told. So we are proud of the family.
Yeah. So she's a stylist and also a designer. Let's see what Nima had for us.
My name is Matida Sanyang, the CEO of Style Witty House of Fashion. Like I always said, Matida, anybody who knows Matida, she loves fashion. Yes. Anybody who knows Matida knows she's so passionate about fashion. This is what I live, this is what I dream about. This is what every day of my life. And even if TV shows, I always watch shows with fashion things and stuff. That's me. So it's like something that is in you. You just have to make sure you just, pack up yourself to put it outside for people to know what makes you to love this certain kind of things. Because I've been working with a different company, like I'm working with Global Properties, a real estate company for 9 good years. Then I decided, you know what? This is something I've been doing for 9 years, but this is not me. Let me try something that's me. Let me work on that. And I decided to do this. And I didn't regret anything about this. This thing is like, some years ago, my husband proposed this to me, but then I was working in the company. It's full of life. You have colleagues, you do everything together. You don't want to leave that job. But then again, it comes to a time, the office, things have changed. You have to work really hard to get what you have to get, the targets and stuff. It's so stressful. One day I'm driving, going to work. I come up to Kololi area. I saw shops and stuff. I say, you know what? Me thinking of this all the time. Let me call this person, one of my friends. Let me call her, because they have a shop around Kololi, Taban and stuff. So I said, let me call her. And right away, I just called her. I couldn't get her. I have to call her assistant. Then I start the process. That's what I do. Calling, going from one shop to another to look for proper locations and stuff, buying stuff, going down, up and down. And I was working, but I was doing, apart from my job. Then at my office, only my HR, that gorgeous lady, Nilan Fai, she knows everything what I was doing. She helped me through to do my branding, my flyers, the name, because I want to bring the name different from other names that people are creating. So I have to go through those names. We have to go through together to make sure I bring this style with the house of fashion. The first place was, I was working, I'm like 2 jobs. I'm working at my former office and I'm doing this. It's not going to be easy. And you have a family too. So it's like you're running around like everywhere. So I said, you know what? If I want this level if I want this brand to go to another level, I have to do one thing. Either I work on myself to concentrate on my business, or I continue working for someone for the rest of your life. So what else can you do? So I decided, you know what? This is the time I need to work on this business to make sure everything goes well, because really there's too many competition in this country. Right? The fashion industry is growing and everybody is trying so hard to make sure your brand goes to another level. So if that kind of situation, you just have to focus on yours. So that's what I'm doing right now. I don't have that many challenges because most of my customers is some people I know, they knew me before and they know what I'm capable of doing in fashion. So it's an easygoing thing for me. When they come, they will just tell me, Mantida, you know what, setal ma refer, you ma defal dina bah because xam nga lu bah. So it makes it easy for me, but sometimes it's a hard work because I have to think, I have to go to, I have to scroll down, I have to Google, I have to do so many things to make sure I bring something that they like. I will be stressed sometimes. I'll be running around because it's like a one-man show. I have to do so many things to make sure things work hard. I have to be on my tailors because I don't need unperfect job. And you have customer care there. You have to know how to satisfy your customers. You have to attend them. You have to do so many things. So those are the challenges. After that, I don't have any challenges because I see myself like I'm working on something. I'm working on, to get something in the future. So that's what I'm concentrating right now. I don't have any challenges outside. Right now, tailors sometimes they come and go, but right now I have 6 staff that they're working under me. Yes, and I'm thinking of in the future adding more because the business is demanding. If you look around, so many stuff around. So and the customers demanding is blooming. So I have to work on that too, to increase staff. I think I'm dreaming about this, and I know, sometimes you have to dream big to make, I'm seeing myself working with, if not international like Europe and stuff, but within Africa, working with some great designers, people who inspired me, because you have people to inspire me in the business. You have so many people, they are doing great outside the country. You see their style, you feel like, wow, this lady knows how to do this, or this gentleman is doing great. So that's what I'm thinking right now. That's what I'm working towards.
Welcome back to the brunch. It has been an amazing time with Matida Sane, who is actually the stylist for our very own Fatou. All those beautiful wears, sassy wears that you see her wearing, it's always designed by Matida Sane. And anytime that you would want to have the prettiest looks, please do come to Matida stylist. Being an entrepreneur, like I said the last week, it's not an easy task. It should be up to us to help young entrepreneurs grow, and by doing so is to patronize them as young Gambian businesses. But remember, I'm not alone in the studio. I have my co-presenter, Nima Sata. Nima Sata, welcome back to the brunch.
Thank you, and welcome to everybody. I would like to be hooked by Fatou to her stylist. I want to look pretty like she does.
Interesting. So I bet Fatou will definitely do so. So welcome back, people. We have the special guest in the house. Like I always say, I know y'all are all curious out there to know who our special guest is, but it's no other than Essa Bokar Sey. Essa is one of Gambia's most prominent people when it comes to the beginning of trying to fight to making Gambia a democratic state from the beginning. But now he's not here as that warrior, but then today he's here as the public relations officer for the OIC, which is the Organization of Islamic Conference, which the Gambia will be hosting next year. But first, I would like you to take us through the process that got us, which is the Gambia's hosting rights, and also the mandates of the Secretariat, because a lot of people just hear about the OIC but don't really know what the mandate of the OIC is. So I would like you to start by that. Welcome, Mr. Bokar, to the brunch.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and then thank you for welcoming me home, and then for being so generous with those words about the struggle, or some call it resistance against tyranny. Well, this is what we were resisting, to resist, to be free, and then to utilize the freedom for progress. So when it comes to the Islamic conference, I would just take permission from you to read something here, because people need to know the background of things, because I'm somebody who likes addressing causes and effects when I'm talking about subjects, so because when you going back historically, it was formed in 1969 in Morocco. Well, the cause of it is that there are things affecting the Islamic countries, member states, or the Ummah in particular. And then that corresponds to 89 Hijrah, which is the Muslim way of counting, like after the Hijrah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that is it. So for that, we have a list of things like the Islamic conference itself, which is held every 3 years. And there are also emergencies like the Council of Ministers meeting, which is held every year. And some emergencies are determined by the dynamics of the geopolitical arena. So Gambia being a member state, it is our time to host it. So it's not like one country is better than the other. The circumstances determine it, and then we should be thankful, because I believe coming out of a transition, and everybody knows what the effervescence of the transition was.
Right.
If we could just regroup as a nation and then or welcome to the Gambia important personalities like kings and heads of state of 57 member states, that's a big achievement. Not all these countries are Muslim though, but majority of them have majority Muslim in it. Like, it is the second largest international organization after the United Nations in the world.
Interesting.
So, now, yeah, I just want to cut in here and sort of obstruct or joy. When people hear of the summit that we are going to host, the first concern that comes there, which in some quarters and anxiety, is, are we certainly going to be 100% ready for the summit, which will be in August 2019? First, can you tell us, when is this summit going to happen next year, and how far are the preparations? Because whereas we have seen the conference center now definitely coming into shape, if you drive by this Gambia Strip, you can see it, and work is always on, busy as a beehive. But there are concerns that other aspects that are set to go along with it. For example, fantastic and abundant accommodation, infrastructure development that was earmarked to go with it. We have not seen much progress in that. When is the date, and how prepared is the Gambia for this important summit?
Well, like, I like quoting this. There is a French philosopher who says, "L'esprit préparé favorise le hasard." When the mind is prepared, it is ready for the unexpected. The preparedness here, there is what is visible and there is what is invisible, and then we have stages. And it's a question you're asking here would help us and give me the opportunity to explain some things. Like I said, maybe today you will see the response on GRTS, because we'll be out. There is
we are happy that we're getting Kerr Fatou before the GRTS.
Yes. There is a difference between being prepared and then anticipating something that you're not prepared for. We are time conscious, definitely, but we are not time threatened.
Interesting.
Because the thing is, we have stages that we go through. You see, what I want us here on the platform to understand, and Gambians in general, is that the OIC Secretariat, Gambia, because that's why we insist on Gambia, because the main one is in Jeddah. Yeah. Because if you write a letter and say OIC and just stop there, people will think you are talking about the international one. Mm-hmm. This OIC Gambia project is a project. we don't want Gambians to see it like conference-driven, conference-oriented. This is a project. Why do I say so? If it is only conference-driven, the heads of state can come tomorrow. Okay? Because we held the African Union, no head of state is better than the other. We have what we call Plan A and Plan B. And then the Plan B would definitely not be a surprise, but it will be a pleasant outcome for those who are concerned, because Gambia wouldn't just say we want to host the OIC without having the mindset of being prepared. And then people need to understand one thing, bringing in the political factor here. In fact, if they understand how circumstances rose, they would be applauding for the government per se, not the government like president, ministers, but everybody involved in it. Because remember, during the impasse, some of you were on the ground, right? Mm-hmm. You remember the tug of war of handing overs. That bridge wasn't crossed with the former government. It's like OIC started, it was more of a dream than realization, and then the new government comes in and then was not scared of inheriting it. They could have also said, we didn't get proper handing over, we didn't find anything, any file, help us with continuity, then we are just going to freeze it. But they did not. So that's why you have a man like Lamin Sane from the International Development Bank, who is not trained on organizing conferences. I'm not trained on organizing conferences, and any other person there. Why did they have Lamin Sane? Is because he's an investment banker. You see, this is like a team playing in a football field. Someone like me, the diplomatic side of things, from the negotiator side of things comes. Lamin is the one who identified someone like me from there. I've never met him in life. He just was following criteria of who fits what, and he contacts you. Mm-hmm. So when you have people like an investment banker who works with the Arab world, who has worked with the Arab world, and then he's respected there, I can tell you that. And then you have some of us. You have Nyang Jai Communication and Branding. You have Yankuba Diba, who's been a chief executive officer for a major institution for years. You have Banding Silla, the former head of the Gamtel, finance department. You have Omar An, assisting Yankuba as an admin. You have Aji Umei, who's also the executive assistant. So if you see a structure like that, you'll understand that we are not only conference driven. You see, African countries, particularly small countries like the Gambia, what we need to understand is that when we have things like these, let us think about sustainability. Let us think about projecting into the future. Because we can't just have OIC, finish with it, people go home, and that's it.
Yeah, if I may project right now, or interject, I think the question we are all asking is, perhaps you may be on the preparations, but we don't know about this. So in practical terms, it's important that you bring this out to the public so that we know where you are in terms of the infrastructures that are going to be needed, because we know that a lot of people are coming in here. But this has also been an opportunity for other countries that have hosted the event before. Correct. And we have seen what they have done in terms of facelifting their cities, in terms of buildings, infrastructures that last, even beyond the conference. And so some of us who may be familiar with the conference, when we hear there is going to be an OIC conference here in the Gambia, that's where we're looking at. But this is an opportunity we have an opportunity now to really bring investment into the Gambia, to really build our infrastructures that are going to last. And also we have to understand also the history of the OIC. When I was told yesterday that you were going to come in, I had to do my research too. So when I did, the OIC for me, I saw it as a reactionary group, reacting to events within the Islamic world. So it's not necessarily more about politics, it's also majorly about economics. And so you have countries who are richer than others, and where we all have an opportunity to share in the oil dollars that are within the Middle Eastern countries. So these opportunities, when we speak in terms of preparations, this is what we are looking at. What infrastructural opportunities we have that we can capitalize on the conference to build, what economic opportunities are there that we can capitalize on the conferences to build, and how far have we come with this?
Thank you. I was building a springboard for development, and then it will be ranging from the general to the specific. Okay. So I was driving from the general, now going towards the specific. So I will shrink it down faster due to time, us being time conscious here. And I like calling it the pyramid of priorities. We have priority projects, the airport. I think these are the things you want to hear. Like the airport will be rehabilitated and then rebuilt, because you can't welcome somebody like the king of Saudi Arabia at the airport and then you have toilets that are not flushing and all that stuff. So we also have a 50-kilometer superhighway road, which we will build from the airport to the conference center. We also have, a 5-star hotel, which is still on. You will understand that OIC also was registered and that it is law abiding and it has to go by mandates also. We may want to do something, it doesn't mean that we'll just wake up and start digging. There are guidelines to do that. And then we have Turkey, for example. I'll give you an example. We had a lunch with the Turkey's ambassador recently. Turkey will be on the ground. Some of these things are not dollar. Some of these things are not check. Some of these things are, the country itself will be here. For example, GRTS, they will be on the ground with the manpower, with the equipment, with everything. And then they will be on the ground to train our own security personnel, like the PIU or any person identified on cyber crime, counter-terrorism measures, things of that sort, because all this is part of the OIC. And then we will have countries like Indonesia. You've seen the current Vice President, Honorable Seno Dabo, going, and then Minister of Foreign Affairs, and then you've heard and seen Lamin Sane, the OIC. So it will be like going out for resource mobilization. We are on the stage of resource mobilization, and that's why I brought in the gap of handing over and things of that stuff. All these forming the structure of the OIC, registering it, everything was done in less than 6 months ago. So you'll find out that the stage we are at right now, to be more specific, is resource mobilization. And the resource mobilization, we are all member states, but some are endowed, some are not. But those who are not also have something to contribute. Let's say, for example, I'm just giving an example here. Nigeria was to be contacted. Can you help with personnel who can come and join Turkey to train, a VIP protection, counter-terrorism? They will do that. So there are things that are happening, I can assure you that. And I hope I have given you something about the specifics here. And then when it comes to running the secretariat, you have seen the delegation from Saudi yesterday, right? You saw the Qatari special envoy who came here. Of course, he came in relation to the TRRC, but the head of state, the President of the Republic of Gambia, made it specific during his visit that he wants support for the OIC. But sometimes there is what we call state-to-state relationship, and there is what we call people-to-people relationship. But when it comes to the specifics about state-to-state, you wouldn't want to preempt an outcome whilst the process is on. So because things change, because let's say Indonesia, they are committed, like we will have, I think, something like 395 vehicles also. That's all part of the specifics. They are committed to giving us about 60. Some of these things will be bulletproof vehicles, So, but soon after that, what happened in Indonesia? An earthquake. But regardless of the situation, their vice president received our vice president in such a nice way that Gambia was very happy about it. So these things. And then Brunei Darussalam is also on the agenda. So we are now on the stage of resource mobilization whilst we are running against time. We are time conscious, but we are not time threatened.
But that doesn't still
Can I come in there? Because
when exactly is the Heads of State Summit of OIC?
The OIC Summit is targeted to be in November 2019, but there is no specific date. I can give you 15, 16, but it is in November 2019.
Thank you very much, Essa Bokar Sey. That was quite insightful. I'm sorry, I had a lot that should have come in the latter part of the show, but then it was important that it came before. But we did have our very own Fatou Jallo did some vox pops in order to seek the public's views from the cross section of the people we have. So let's watch the vox pop.
My name is Aissatou Diba, and I am here at MDI studying business.
That's really nice. So have you heard about the organization of the Islamic conference that is about to happen in the country?
Oh no, I'm just hearing it for the first time.
Okay, my name's Absa Samba, a student from the School of Journalism, Digital Media, University of the Gambia. International Islamic Conference? I've never heard about it. This is my first time.
Man déedéet yëguma ko dama gis rek ñu ngi sampa story building after Senegambia noonu waaye maa ngi dégg ne ñu ngi wax ne foofu State House la loolu moom dégg naa information boobu noonu waaye apart from loolu moom déggatuma dara.
Hello, my name is Miriam Digenfai and I'm a graduate of the University of the Gambia and I majored in law. Oh yes, I heard about it and I think it's a really good initiative. I think the conference could add a lot of value to the country and the fact that we're having Muslim countries all around the world coming together, even though Gambia is not a strictly Muslim country, it's a circular country, and that they're coming here to talk about issues that are affecting Muslim countries around the world. I think it's a really good initiative and I think it will be good for the country.
Wow, fu mu nekk nii dëkk bi yëpp ñu ngay expect loolu ñu ngay expect this OIC waaye I think the only positive side lu ma si gis mooy dëkk bi nañ jéem a fast track pour jéem a yokk suñ infrastructure bi like nañ jéem a create ay tali yu ees xam nga nañ jéem a try pour am a stable power system so fanaa ñaar yooyu noonu a good thing and the thing is the second thing mooy job bi ñu nekk di fa def right now am na Gambian soo xam ne ñu ngi faa liggéey so loolu is something positive.
xam nga OIC conference bi soo ko dee host dafa need a lot of criteria like development dafa am infrastructure yu gars yi dee soxla so su waree happen 2019 gis naa ne suma feeling based on my opinion dafa nekk loo xam ne dafa gàtta torop because ñun development wise suñ infrastructure gaawul we are very slow in development. Even projects are so by help projects, how we handle projects here. Fini, melody like other areas. Plus you have they develop torop. They know how to structure their things. You def at the time frame. Yung times in problem not so you handle any contract, ngano ko 3 months. It has to be another two extra months. Ngako me pur muna jekal. So man suma opinion feel na ne anyway, we don't still have the capacity for mun co-host next year. It's too about need a lot of works.
Well, I think if we were able to host the African Union conference in the Gambia successfully, I see no reason why we should not be able to host this important conference. And as a country, we are in a transition, like I always said, and at the moment it should be a priority for us to connect to the international community that we've had strained relations with for the past few years. So it shouldn't be a question of whether we are prepared, it should be a question of how prepared we are, and I think that as a country we should be prepared. Really, it's because it's a matter of priority that we get back into the international stage.
My name is Bokar Sey. I am a journalist and a program anchor at Star FM Radio, yes.
All right, so Abubakar, what do you know about the organization of the Islamic conference that is about to happen?
Yeah. The organization of Islamic conference will be held in the Gambia, which is one of the most powerful organizations in the whole world. I remember in Senegal, it happens there, and when it happens in Senegal, what happened, infrastructural development came to Senegal, which some people are even saying that Senegal, if you see that their economy is stable at the moment, is because of the OIC summit that they've hosted during the days of Abdoulaye Wade. So it's going to be a very good replica for the Gambia government if they can host it 2019. It is going to boost our economy. And when it comes to infrastructural development in the Gambia, we will see a very good benefit out of it. So I am in for the conference to be held in the Gambia.
So Senegal prepared for the event for 4 good years. Do you think Gambia can prepare for it in 1 year?
I think everything has to do with money. If the money is there, the architects are there. They just give them the money and they do the job. So if Gambia accepts to host it, then they will give them the money to do this. So let them just give it to the architects. They know what to do. So in 1 year, in 6 months, or in 2 years, they can just prepare what they need to prepare, and then the conference will be held in the Gambia.
Welcome back after that smart Vox Pop that we had. But Mr. Essa Bokar, we were watching the Vox Pop together, and you could tell that students of the university and the school of, is it MDI, were being asked um, if they're aware that we're about to host the OIC summit. And you could tell that most of them weren't current. I would not want to blame anybody because they're students, of the fact that we will be hosting the OIC next year. But now let me shift from that to those that knew that we were going to host this event. Some worried that the time frame is short, and others feel that it's a smart initiative that the Gambia hosts the OIC summit in the Gambia. And I could recall one Musa Balde said, if the Gambia could host the African Union summit, most definitely we could as well host the OIC summit. Now, based on what we saw on the screen, my question is, how well is your secretariat communicating with the public of the importance of the OIC to the Republic of the Gambia?
Thank you very much for this important question. What I like about what I saw is that, when you're working for a community, working with a community,
right,
and you see in that very community the desire to quench their thirst of curiosity, then you should be motivated. I'm motivated by what I saw, because this doesn't show indifference, because most of the time what affects African communities like our countries is people are indifferent, because this modern generation I'm seeing in Gambia, they are not indifferent. They are involved. They take ownership and they stand up to say, this is Gambia, what are you doing? Because you are working for Gambia. What are you going to do? I like what I saw. I mean, some of them match what I said, because I said, this is not a conference-driven secretariat. This is a project. And that's what some of them, but I wish Jan Jai, Director of Communication and Branding, because that's, some of the specifics fall exactly under his department, And then someone like me arrived here. I'm not building excuses. I arrived here on the 8th of June. So you can see that the bringing in people who will man positions themselves are part of that time constraint too. So what I would say is that we are definitely prepared, but there are sequence of events, because secretariat is there, but there is a government.
Right.
And governments go by procedure, protocol, because the launching is yet to be done. Because the President of the Republic of the Gambia, Adam Barrow, has to come and launch it. Because officially, people are talking about, in fact, being conscious of time is why someone like me today, with the Chief Executive Officer, agreed that with the media, someone like me, when I came, people like Pamodu Fall know, he met me at cafe, I saw Sekou Jammeh, and then I have been indirectly engaging them, because for me, I've been with you guys for a while. I'm not scared of you that much, but I am scared of you somewhere else,
Can I comment?
Let me just finish here. You see, people like Seni Marina, he came yesterday. These things that they are talking about is why we are rushing that. There is a special program coming out today, so that's why I'm here too, because Fatou Toure saw me the other day and said, I will arrest you, I'll bring you to the studio, what she did. So I think the preparedness is there, the will is there, and then the desire to quench the thirst of the people is there, which makes me motivated. I am not challenged by this, I feel motivated.
Before Mustafa, before you come in, I wanted you to help clarify some certain things. OIC, judging by its name, Organization of Islamic
Cooperation. Yes.
Cooperation.
Yes.
Organization of Islamic Cooperation.
Cooperation. It's a bit confusing.
Correct.
Right? I was glad that Mam Degen made mention that even though the Gambia isn't an Islamic state, but then it's well populated.
Correct.
By Muslims.
Correct.
I would like you to elucidate more on this statement by her.
Underpinning that part is very important. Let's say making reference to myself, where I was walking before coming here.
Right.
I mean, not all member states are Muslim, like where you have Muslim populations dominating. Some are in South America, you know. So he's right. This is not an Islamic state. It is not an Islamic country. It is a Muslim country. You see, because Islamic countries are governed by Sharia law. We are not governed by Sharia law. The concern here, that's why I wish I could read Article 11, but maybe I'll make reference to that to you later on. But there is one article here which is, this is Article 11. It says, disseminate, promote, and preserve the Islamic teachings and values based on moderation and tolerance, promote Islamic culture, and safeguard Islamic heritage. 12, to protect and defend the true image of Islam, to combat defamation of Islam, and encourage dialogue among civilizations and religions.
Interesting.
Yeah, if I may add, throw in something on that is, we can view it as any other international organizations out there. So countries join based on how it's going to serve their interests. Although, as the name goes, I don't know.
The name is actually what.
I know. Well,
even within the OIC, you have quite a number of factional religious groups that don't actually see eye to eye. Like,
let me come in here. You know, all this is coming in the background of what happened here in 2016.
Yes.
When the former president declared this was an Islamic state, etc.
Yes.
People at the time said, well, it's because in anticipation
of the
or in luring the petrodollars that might be coming with this summit. That is why he's gone to that extreme. But you see, what we cannot forget that the OIC have been existing well before now. In fact, the Gambia, under Sadao de Jawara, was once chairman of these things. And like he said, there are countries that are endowed with a lot of resources. Others are endowed with all the expertise that the organization had used. For example, Jawara was very prominent as a diplomat in the Iraq-Iran crisis. I remember using this same organization, he was able to bring, the Iranian and Iraqi leaders to table, which helped a lot in solving the first Gulf crisis, you know. So the organization had been existing long before here. Now, there could also be a Christian international organization, in which Gambia can belong. So you find out that the word Islamic is nothing to be scared of. It's just, we are a Muslim country, just as we are a Christian country. There can be another Christian international organization which Gambia can belong to. So this is what I
can I say something with regards to the time pressing nature of the event? When I listen to you and I listen to some of the people that were interviewed in the Vox Pop, you would see that. I mean, you said you're not time threatened, but given all the projects that you're supposed to implement, it requires quite a great deal of time to construct roads, to finish the hotels, to finish the OIC conference center, do a lot of maintenance works on these roads. It takes a lot of time, and if you look at from now to November next year, it's just 1 year. I think that's where the concern is. The question is, can you achieve what you want to achieve within that time frame?
Yeah, let me reverse a little bit again. That's why I was saying that this is not a conference-driven project. You know, if it is only the conference, my dear brother, they can come tomorrow. Because like one of them said, this is where I'm getting my confidence from. You know, you are aware of the AU villas. You are aware of, some of our hotels here are not the worst in the world too. You know, we could have just, let's say, I'll give you an example. You could have just got a big truck, these water tanks, and then clean. You know, the thing is also, like I said in one of my conferences in the US, is IMO. You innovate, you motivate, you organize, you know? And then it's simple, easy, efficient. Because if you apply that methodology also, you can still hold the conference small. Because if you clean the roads, put on the side palm trees and put some stones and then whitewash them, and then you repair the airport, and then the conference center is ready, they can come. I'm building the confidence. But When it comes to things like what you just said about the preparedness, you see, like I said, when I was interviewed by a Senegalese journalist who was asking if you were prepared, I said, you can have 7 years, time is there for you, but you have only $7. I would rather go with somebody who has 7 months and 7 million and work with that person and realize a conference than somebody has 7 years and only $7. So the time, yes, it's true. But let's say, for example, the road begins. Let's say we have, for example, if we were to have a 100 kilometer road, we go up to 50. It can take them to the conference center. They come in and go home. That doesn't mean that the budget allocated for the 100 is going to be cut off. These projects will continue, and then you will have Gambians will be working in that conference center. I found a young man who was trained in Taiwan, Abdul Karim Cham and others. You have the project manager. I mean, he works for the Ministry of Works. I mean, people know who Ibrahim Akoli is in Gambia. He's a genius when it comes to. So these are people confident not because they want to build castles in the air. And then I like making reference to what we'll say today. If you hear the Chinese consultant tonight, I don't know when DRTs is going to air, but you will hear things that will even help you answer that question, because of they are going to finish the concrete and all this stuff, hand this over before the conference begins. So even if we were to have only the conference center, rehabilitate the airport, because we have a plan B too. We have also what we call the EOI, to answer some of the things that some of them are saying. I studied business. If let's say Kerr Fatou or the Brunch or Fatou Toure and your team, I mean, we have what we call the EOI, expression of interest. We are receiving those and filing them. One of the criteria is that if you are a non-Gambian, you come here and then you want to work with us, media or anything, and you don't want to work with Nima, and then we suggest that Nima would be your partner, and you just say, no, I just want to remain exclusively Guinea-Bissau, you are disqualified. Straight. Because you must partner with a Gambian, otherwise we are not going to work with you. So the opportunities are definitely there.
I had a question with regards to that too, because I remember you said it's not only about state-to-state diplomacy, it's also about people-to-people, and I like that part of it too much. And also here is a huge opportunity for us, because I learned that the OIC is the second biggest organization in the world. And based on that, there is diversity in terms of people, in terms of the economies also, but we have an opportunity also to engage the private sector.
Correct.
To make sure that we use this as a platform for them to build partnerships, to bring in investment into the country. And I don't know how that process is going on with you guys.
Yeah, this is what I was saying just now, the expression of interest, because you have companies who come in and then say, let's say for example, Joy would say, I have a company and I'm very good at training ushers.
Right.
He said, go and write an expression of interest. Registration of business, what have you achieved? Okay, if you're a media house, let's say, what's your name again, sir? Mustafa. I mean, Mustafa has his media industry. He will give us statistics.
Right.
But is this about the people coming or the people here?
No, I'm talking about everybody.
Okay.
You know, like the organic, the audience, and what you guys call it, you know, the paid audience and all that. So if you have to give us that framework so that we can look through, and then we'll invite you for a presentation. We have a big conference room. Companies, some of them are from Senegal, some of them are from Belgium, some of them are from, but each one of them is ushered through the door by a Gambian.
Thank you very much, Mr. Essa Bokar Sey. It's been a great session getting to know exactly what the OIC Secretariat in the Gambia is all about. We're moving straight into the hot spot. You know, this is one of my favorite sessions of the Brunch show. Today, we'll be taking you to a local spot called Khadijatu Restaurant, where you can have all local meals ranging from domoda, benachin, chicken yassa. Nima, what would you like to eat?
I wouldn't want to mention it. It's so local.
It doesn't, like, that's the beauty about it. That's why we have the brunch.
It's called kucha.
Kucha? Yes. Oh, I ate kucha once and it was
I love
really
it
delicious.
so much. I would eat it every day.
How about you, Bokar?
I I will give you a tease. My wife says, "Yo, hana lu wax ne buma lekka rek, you will eat anything." So I'll be specific. Kucha is my.
Kucha.
Yeah.
Lovely. We take you straight to Kololi, where we have Khadija restaurant. Watch out for her.
yow lan mooy sa xalaat si kadi lekka yi naka nga ko gisee.
lekka yi neex nañ te gars yi dañ overla set tamit ñu suñ compagnie daal we prefer them yeah.
fa ngeen taama Kadi's restaurant.
because sooy lekka dafa mel ni sa kër loo fa tooga loolu la because toogam dafa mel ni comme like yaa ngi lekka kër 300 dépense du mun a tooga loolu noonu.
dëgg la soo fu mu nekk nii yan nga jënd.
maa ngi jënd ciw. yaa
ngeen dee faral di jënd fii nii saa
dañ dee jënd different type léegoo-léegi ñu jënd benn ci léegoo-léegi ñu jënd plaçage léegoo-léegi ñu jënd supa suñ boos supa la buga yaa man ciw rek laa dee jënd waaw waaye moom supa la buga suñ ko jëndalee ciw daf dee complain waaw.
so naka nga gisee customer service bi ñu dee jaay maanaam.
they are very good in that yaa gars yi dañ fa wax la baax because gars yi mun nañ seen liggéey.
Restaurant bi waaw ñun yàgg nañ di fi ñëw all the time fii lañ dee lekkee fii lañ dee reeree du mun na laa wax dañ dee ñëw jënd añ fii dañ dee ñëw jënd reer fii nii lekka bu neex rek moo ñu fi bàyyi su neewutoon duñ fi doon ba nekk waaye lekka bu neex rek moo ñu fi bàyyi ba léegi so moo tax always fii rek lañ dee añee reer bi sax dama ko dee jënd fii yóbbu ko kër waaw dama dee jënd fii yóbbu ko kër ñu toog so xam nga neex bi moo tax ñu def loolu su neewutoon xam nga ne di ko lii yëpp ndiraan boo fi gis nii duñ fi nekka so loolu moo tax nag xam nga ñun ñu fee ñëw all the time ba pare tamit nag leneen secret tamit mu ngi fa boobu naa ko wax boobu bonus la moom si boobam borom restaurant bi amul morom dafa baax ñëpp mun nañ ko seede ko loolu yëpp mun nañ ko seede dafa baax loolu moom mun naa ko wax fu ma dem naa ko wax dafa baax ñun Sundays dañ dee ñëw fii ñu lekk duñ fay dara waaw so xam nga loolu baax moo la ko ki nga xam ne dem ngay tooga di la jox nga lekk free kooku lan moo tax soo ñu waree jënd doo ñëw jënd da ngaa jënd loolu moo ñu fa bàyyi ba léegi
dëgg la naka nga gisee customer service bi.
waaw customer service bi xam nga leena boobu moom nit nañ improvement tuuti foofu noonu because lii moom dafa nit ki nga xam ne daf koo dimbale si wàllum customer service because xam nga daf dee difficult ak ñoom ñuy jaay daf dee difficult ak ñoom because nit su bëree dañ dee am confusion so loolu noonu side boobu noonu dara waroon a adjust tuuti xam nga customer service bi mu seet naka la moo mën a adjusté boor boobu noonu pour customer yi tamit duñ si sonn loolu rek mooy cat bi noonu.
ok yow nag soo ñëwee yan lekk nga fi faral di taama di jënd.
man su ma cob fii nii ceeb moom benn la ba pare ak domada am nga soose ak domada waaw loolu moom ñooy suma favorite fii nii waaw.
Well, for my case, I'm a resident of here, but at the same time, I do most of my when I need a food, I just come here to buy food that I need because due to its delicious and cost-effective food that they're always selling here.
So how much is per plate?
Per plate is $50 here when you are to eat here, but takeaway it is $75. Very reasonable, and compared to the quality, to even most of the standard restaurants at the Senegal, I still prefer here.
So which of the dishes is your favorite?
For me, I can say I prefer domada. Yeah, I do try other dishes like super kanja and domada too, but I prefer the domada. Yeah.
Welcome back to the brunch. That was the hot spot where we went to a local restaurant. It's owned by Khadija, and if you want to really try most of their delicious meal, go to Kololi and you'll definitely be fed well. Mr. Essa Bokar Sey Welcome to another special session of the brunch. And what we do is we want to know who our guest is, who is Mr. Essa Bokar Sey. Well, first, the first question would be, sorry, let me make sure my viewers see it. Are you ready?
Yes.
No, I can't see that. I always like my guests to be really excited about the show, like about this session. Are you ready?
Yes.
Are you sure you're ready? So the question is, what 3 words describes you best?
What 3 words describe me best?
Right.
Relaxed.
Relaxed.
Humble. Determined.
Relaxed, humbled, and determined. That's quite an interesting one. The second one is, who are your heroes? Who are your heroes?
Let me control my emotions. My hero is Bokar Sey Ustaz, my father.
Oh, that's a lovely one. Any extra aside your dad?
Yes, I have Amilcar Cabral and Patrice Emery Lumumba.
Interesting. The next question is, what is the most vivid childhood memory you've heard?
Interesting question. One day I went to school and then chose to sneak out as a Fulani. I know that Lamin Kande and Fatou are ready for me, and then I went to follow the sheep.
Oh, wow.
I didn't want to go to school, and then my dad had to deal with me. You know how he dealt with me, right?
Well, kung daw ka ti school nga won.
Yes.
Interesting one. The next question reads, are you ready?
Yes.
I really like to hear the excitement in your voice. Or unless, I'll tell OIC people, wait for him. I will kidnap him for the next 24 hours because he's not excited yet.
Okay.
The question reads, what is the funniest thing that have ever happened to you?
Funniest thing. That I have so many funny things that ever happened to me, but well, now you making me. I was with one of the funniest things. I was with some friends. We were driving from Texas to Arizona. It took so long, 18 hours. Then I looked at one of them. I woke up and somewhere, because we were changing drive. I mean duties to drive, and then I looked somewhere and saw what they call jambakatan, like the hobby rat. And I looked at this. I told one of the Americans I was with that, did you guys kidnap me and took me to Gambia because you are still in the United States?
Oh, that's quite funny. The next question read, what's the best thing that ever happened to you?
The best thing that ever happened to me is, when I chose to leave the army, and then my brother, whom I like mentioning in every place, Baba Kante, he told me, Ndoke, go and learn, you have the skills, Army Buddha. Because that's when I went to read, that's when I went to gather papers that could make me a diplomat and where I am today. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank
now
you.
the next one. Before I ask you this question, Mr. Bokar.
You're scaring me now, Joy.
Don't worry, I'm a very subtle person. Don't be scared. But the question is, how much do you like food first, before going to the question?
Food? Well, it depends on if I am near people like Mr. Cham, I would rather be the one who doesn't like much food. But if I'm alone, I eat.
Okay. Now I want the question, going straight to the question. It reads, what's your favorite Gambian dish?
Mafe.
I thought you was going to say kucha. Because you said you love kucha a lot.
That's all kucha. Mafe, let me help you. Then you will know how much I like mafe.
Okay.
This one is a real Gambian.
Yes, there is
Yeah,
mafe
so-
mixed with kucha, mafe mixed with.
Okay, so you just keep blending them.
Yes.
Interesting. Thank you for that one. Just learned something new today.
Yeah.
The next question reads, what is the one thing people would be surprised to know about you?
Well, they would be surprised to know that I am somebody who likes comedy. and they would be surprised to know that without comedy, if you come to my house, you'll really be surprised. Because some people I know naturally when
You
they
look
at
too
my
serious.
face, I know that, and my wife keeps telling me that.
I am surprised. I kind of think you're a very serious person.
You look
Well,
too
I could actually
like
see the sense of humor in him, because like
Serious,
one, two, you could actually say, he said, Mr. You know, Mr. Cham, foodie. You know, I sensed the humor in you, so I don't think you're that serious.
I wish you could ask me about secrets too.
Okay, what's the greatest secret you've ever kept from anybody? Share it with us.
Somebody is going to feel uneasy. Let me. She's there. She knows.
Okay.
Fatou Toure. It's about
Interesting.
food though.
So, the next question, Reed. You seem to be ready for all of my questions, and I have to look at you again to rescreen you and all of that.
No problem.
So, what can't you do without?
What can't I do without?
I have a guess.
Philosophically or just out of
It's
humor?
vague. It's vague. You can
I
actually
can-
decide to go philosophical.
I can't do without Allah Azza wa Jalla.
Okay, let's go to the other end.
Yes.
Like generally, of course, you can't do without God because He's your author and
Oh,
finisher.
okay, that's
But
right.
then,
Okay, something else that I cannot do without
Right.
is justice.
Justice.
I don't like injustice. It can regurgitate something inside me that will look lion-like. I don't like injustice.
right, that's nice. The next question reads, what 3 words best describe my view of the Gambia, your view of the Gambia?
Current or just general?
General,
Gambia-
whatever you want to share.
Gambia is a country that is unique. I have traveled to almost every part of the world, but one thing Gambia has, which is you would not see somewhere else, is the nature, like the sea. We have everything combined here, and that I like about Gambia. The physical geography of Gambia is what I like most.
It's a beautiful
3 words, I think.
Right.
The serenity, maybe.
Yeah, he made statements other than 3 words.
Yeah, I love the serenity.
Oh, she asked 3 words?
Yeah, 3
Oh,
words.
I'm sorry.
That's how much passion he has for the Gambia. That's just what it tells you. Like he's driven by the fact that he's so passionate about the
Absolutely.
Gambia that he could go on and on and on. But just give us 3
I
words.
can just say location,
Location,
appearance, accommodation.
interesting. Location,
Appearance,
appearance.
accommodation.
That's quite deep, don't you think? Interesting.
That's, how would you call it, la?
So now we'll go to the last but not the least question. It says, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years, Mr. Bokar?
In the next 10 years, I see myself in a Gambia where everybody will say that I don't want to leave Gambia, and those outside will say we want to come back. That's where I want to see myself.
Interesting. You don't see yourself being in the future president? You know, most people's dream is to become presidents, ministers, and all of that.
Well, philosophically, I have this answer to say, you know, we humans, we have suggestions and wishes, and we call those plans. The plans are not with us. They're from there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Essa Bokar Sey. It has been
That's
a
quite a
wonderful
religious
session,
statement.
and I must say that most people that do not know Essa Bokar Sey have an opportunity to know who Essa Bokar is. Actually, I must say I had been following you from the onset. I've watched a lot of videos and your commentaries during the fight against the dictatorial regime, which was quite a smart one, and we must say we were very fortunate to have you on the 2nd edition of the brunch. Welcome.
Thank you.
Mr.
If you want, usually you guys ask the last word. I can show Nima that I have humor. If you want, I'll give you my last.
No, of course. I was getting to
All right.
that.
Now we'll say, Assalamu alaikum suma mbokk yi may dégg. Man la seen mbokk Essa Bokar Sey. maa ngi leen di nuyu si njëkk ak teranga di ko dooree turi yàlla bu tedda bi bismillahi rahmani rahim Muhammad Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know, that's the way I used to talk. That's why she thought that I was like, ooh, this guy.
That was a famous A famous opening to all his videos during the
Thank you very much. It has
other.
been a great session with you, and I won't do just if I don't give the floor to my panelist and my co-presenter as well, Nimasata Kamara, to give us her last words.
Yeah, I'm going to say this has been very interesting, and it's important that we have you here, Bokar. Thank you very much for honoring our request to be here. We have an opportunity also to educate those people who may not have known about the OIC, and also there are people out there who are very optimistic about this event coming up, and we have a chance also to reinforce their optimism. And even those who may have been a little bit pessimistic now have a chance to know that the process is ongoing and it's going to be successful.
Mr. Lamicham?
Yeah, well, having known what we've known now about OIC, we can only wish Mr. C and his colleagues a successful OIC project. He emphasized, not just a summit.
Thank you very much. Mustafa Dabo?
It's been amazing to be part of a panel of this nature. I think it's been very educative, and so I'm glad to be part of it.
Thank you very much, viewers. We've come to the end of this special edition of the Brunch Show. Do join us next week for another exciting edition. Remember, I am your host, Joy Nwama. Thank you.
Now we can eat our bananas.
Save some money to build my dream home. I'm really confused about which estate company to approach. My friend had a bad experience with a particular estate agency after completing his payment and could not even get his title deed. This is serious.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Thank you.
My name is Oli. I'm from EJ Investments.
I'm set.
Thank you.
You know, I must say you came at a very right time.
Really?
I was thinking about houses. What can your company offer me?
EJ Investments can offer you a lot. We're unique in the market.
Okay.
We own our properties and we ensure that they're developed with modern technologies. They're affordable and they're at strategic locations. We don't just sell pieces of land, but we create settlements.
What makes your company different from others?
We're different from all real estate companies in the Gambia because what we have to offer is affordability, safety, and security. We ensure that you get a legal contract from when you pay your deposit, and within 4 weeks of paying your final settlement, we make sure you receive your title deed.
4 weeks?
4 weeks.
That's interesting.
Yes. Now tell me, what real estate service you need?
It's absolutely EJ Investment and Real Estate Agency.